Hi, this is Mark Wallstrom. Welcome to another edition of the Settlement Channel. Today we're going to be talking with our guest, Chris Forger, who is the president of Capital First Trust Company, about some issues in using trusts and factoring. Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, Chris, hey, I had you in today just to specifically talk about something that is really big industry news in structured settlements and with trial lawyers, which is the issue of factoring of structured settlement annuities. Particularly those stories that came out of the Washington Post, CBS Evening News, about lead paint injury victims, specifically Freddie Gray was one of them, that had their structured settlements factored. I want to talk a little bit about the issue of whether or not these structured settlements could have been protected if they had been paid into a trust, as is very common. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think with one of the most successful settlement plans that we see are where there is not just a standalone structured settlement, but in addition a settlement trust, and that for one it prevents factoring, but also when you do that, what you leave behind isn't just a product and the client on their own. What you leave behind is a professional advisor and a fiduciary and a corporate trustee that can educate the client on how the trust works, how the settlement plan is supposed to work. Again, prevent factoring, but also professionally manage the money, professionally distribute the money, and help the settlement plan reach its intended purpose.
Chris, do you think this has some real application in those cases that are sort of in that gray area where we think somebody may become incompetent later on? Maybe they will not be able to take care of themselves. Maybe their condition is going to degenerate. But at the time of settlement, they are competent. At the time of settlement, maybe they do have a guardian. When we kind of talk about those issues and plans, just kind of talk a little bit about how the trust and the trust company works on those life-changing events. What's the benefit of the trust in conjunction with a structured settlement when you do have those potential life changes?
Sure. I think that the trust and the corporate trustee do a couple of things there. I think most people understand that one of the basic differences between the structure and the trust is that the trust can react to life changes, or what we may call event contingencies, and make distributions accordingly. I think what a corporate trustee can bring to the table is stability, professional management, professional guidance, not just on the trust, but a trustee that's very experienced with settlement trust and settlement plans. Again, will be able to help the client understand what the intent of the plan was, what the structure was intended to do, and what the trust portfolio is intended to do.
Chris, does this have to be an either-or decision, or is this something where you do have a combo, let's say, of managed funds and a structured settlement? When you put those things together as a combination, as a combo package, if you will, where you have guaranteed income from a structured settlement paying into the trust, plus you have a pool of money that's being managed and watched over for future needs and cash needs by the fiduciary, is it a fair statement to say that it's a easy or routine application for the trust company to do something like this?
Absolutely, and I think again the most successful settlement plans that we see, because of the nature of the assets we take on in our trust, a great deal of them come from personal injury settlements. So naturally, we have a lot of trust where you have in addition to the trust portfolio, you have structured settlements that were set up that feed into the trust. That it simply may be a way of dollar cost averaging into the investment portfolio. But it also may have been set up as a system of, for distributions for the client. Maybe you set up a monthly structure to help their routine needs. But again, I think they're successful. Trust company has been around nearly 20 years. And in all my years there, we've never had a trust beneficiary factor one of their structured settlements. I think for two reasons. One, I think that the trust itself hedges against that. But also, I think the trustee, as their professional advisor that remains in the picture, again, can help the client, I think, guide them through and let them know how the trust can work with them through difficult situations.
Chris, thank you. Now, there's going to be more information on this topic on both the company's websites. You can go to Capital First Trust Company. We have their web page and link tied to this video, and you can learn more about their services and how they work in conjunction with a structured settlement. Of course, you can always contact my firm at Wallstrom & Associates as well, and we can walk you through the steps of how you combine a trust company product and fiduciary protections with a structured settlement to really take care of your client long term.